Hello, welcome to week number 5 and happy Thanksgiving, everyone. I really enjoyed this week's video. I was pleasantly surprised at first when the speaker started to talk about all of the things that she's gone through in life as far as drugs and alcohol and being homeless and spending time in prison. I thought, oh my goodness, this lady has been through so much, and then she finally reached the point where she said it was because she was still dealing with her grief and losing her child. And at that point, it made me instantly switch from being a little hesitant in listening to what she had to say to just being just so empathetic towards her and just feeling like, oh my goodness, now that all makes sense. And so that was really telling that she brought that up. And she didn't talk too much about that in particular. She talked a little bit more about her experience as a writer, but I just thought that was really an important detail because it told a lot about her background and her character and maybe why she is the way she is because she has been through so much and she's had so much grief, not just in that, but in her whole upbringing, because it sounds like she also dealt with a lot as a child too. So I did enjoy that she included all those things just to give us some background before she dived into her experience in New York. For this week's questions, consider her quote, "Reinvent a self from the ruins of my choices," and how can we view this from our essay writing. And I just think it's so important, and I kind of relearned this week more explicitly, that we talk about our concrete experiences, but what really matters is what we learned from those experiences, because we can have experiences and just sit in those and continue to think about them and dwell on them, but never go that extra step to think, okay, what can I learn from this? And then that even further step of analyzing and applying to real life, as in the Kolb model, what we have learned and how those experiences in the beginning are making us better or different people. And I think that was really important to understand, especially in my writing. I've been having a hard time distinguishing those areas, but it was important for me to learn the difference of just telling the story, getting the facts down, and then in the next sections really diving deeper and saying, okay, what did I learn from this experience? How am I different? How can I apply this to my life in the future? So that was really important for me to hear this week. All right, and how might your stories be weird? I'll skip the next word, portals to something beautiful. I just wrote down a couple of her quotes that I thought were really interesting. One of them being, all I had to do was give voice to the story. And the next one was the Misfits myth, where she says, even at the moment of your failure, you are beautiful. You may not know it yet, but you have the ability to reinvent yourself. And I really appreciate that she said those things, because oftentimes it's in that moment of failure where we just might feel ashamed or overwhelmed or just devastated because of either the choices that we've made or things that have happened to us. But in that very moment, there's something beautiful, and it's what we do from that moment, from those experiences, that help us to grow and help us to learn. And those are the very things we're learning how to glean from our stories as we're writing our essays in this class. All right, what might she mean by giving voice to your story? And by giving voice to your story, she also says sometimes telling the story is the thing that changes your life. And I was like, yes, right on, because this week in particular, I chose a topic that was really heavy, and it came from a hard experience that I had to go through. And of course, I have thought about this experience, and I thought I learned a lot in the process as I was like experiencing it. But it's in looking back to those stories and really diving into them and really just revisiting those moments in life, even the hard ones that weren't fun, and really trying to grasp, okay, what can I learn from that experience? I know I've had time to think about it, but what can I actually learn, and how can that make me a different person today and in the future, and change how I handle future experiences. So by giving voice to your story, you're kind of teaching yourself as you're learning how to communicate what you've learned to others. So it's like the quote, I don't know where it comes from, but the best way to learn is to teach, and I think that's so true. So those are my thoughts for this week, and I look forward to hearing your guys' responses as well. And happy Thanksgiving.